Turn your thing a little. You're still echoing.
Me?
Yeah. Lower your screen.
I just got blocked off here. Hold on. Why is it asking me for my email address? How do I get out of here?
I don't know. You're fine though. You're broadcasting well. We got folks coming in the room. Just so everybody knows, I'm not a doctor. I don't even play one on television. I'm just the moderator for these awesome practitioners that you're about to hear from. Welcome everybody. Come on in. All right.
Good morning.
Hello, Karen. Hello, Caitlin. Hello, Lauren Strader. Hello, Lindsay Smith. Hello, Michelle Schlafman.
Hey.
And they have discovered the chat box. So a little housekeeping up front, just to let everybody know, my name is Scott Smith, and I'm the tech moderator here with the platform. And so there is a chat box there on the window. There's also a Q&A box. You can use either one. We'll be monitoring that as our doctors work through their material today. We welcome you. Happy Saturday morning to everyone during quarantine COVID-19. Again, feel free to use the chat box as we work through the content. Ask any questions that you feel you need to ask. I'll be monitoring those, and I'll interject with your questions periodically. So welcome everybody. When my video disappears, I'll still be here. Don't worry, I'll be checking things out. So yeah, good morning everybody. Happy Saturday morning.
Good morning.
Good
Maria
morning.
White. Hello. Hello, somebody on a Galaxy S10. Hello, Carrie Woods. Somebody's here by only by code only, not by name. So welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, and we are recording today, so happy everyone's on the call. So Dr. Catherine, take it away.
Good morning, everybody. We're having fun learning to do this, but we're really excited to share with you some ideas that we want to get out into our patients, certainly, but also into the world. So here at the office, we are perking along just great. The office is open, and we're seeing patients. We are sanitizing as recommended. So we're sanitizing the doors, the doorknobs, the tables, and asking our patients to wash their hands when they come in and when they leave. So we're taking those necessary precautions, and we want to encourage everybody to do those things because sanitation is really the key in all illnesses and diseases to stop the spread. And really, we should be doing that anyway, to be quite honest. So we are really appealing to people to get the best information and utilize that. And then also to create a vibration of health within yourself, within your home, talking to your family. And this situation doesn't have to take over our brains in such a negative way, which would create a vibration of disease. So we're going to talk about that. So here at the office, we are wanting you guys, when you're stuck and you don't have anywhere to go, to come and see us because we're here and we're going to help you with your immune system. So we've got some important ideas that Dr. Goodwin and Valerie are going to chime in here. But we started this out. The title of this is A Study of Health is Vastly More Important Than a Study of Disease. There's a vibration of illness that's very fearful, and it's everywhere right now. Everybody's talking about this. And, you know, that's not a good or bad thing. It's just that whatever is impressed upon your mind can also take hold if we intensely think about it. And we'll get into this vibration of fear and disease, not to take away from the fact that we need to be aware and utilize this information, but not to dwell on it or intensely think about it and create that vibration within yourself that's going to stimulate fear and worry, frustration, because our entire lives have gotten changed. We are being forced to slow down, to stop, to stay home more. And our habits, we're creatures of habit. So it's a little shocking in itself just to have these things occur. very rapidly, it seems. So we want to start out talking about that. Now, vibration of health, we want you to always have hope. There's always hope. And if diseases hadn't come along in our entire history, none of us would have an immune system and have adapted and be here anyway. So it's something that in nature is going to occur, but it doesn't have to take on this really dark, negative, fearful side to it. We must utilize our brains, choose our thoughts, work with processing our emotions, and stay on the high vibration, thinking about health, talking about health, and acting as healthy as you can and as you are. So none of us here have had any problems, symptoms. We're all percolating just fine. I've been out and about somewhat because you have to go to the grocery store. I'm not quitting living my life, but I am utilizing my good sense when I go places. So if I go to the grocery store, I go wash my hands when I go in. If there's a huge vibration of fear, we're going to give her great story that happened recently. You don't have to stay in that store. You leave and come back at a time that's best for you. So we're going to move on there into some other things, but we really want to inspire you. You do have so much ability to create an image of health and focus on that. And as you can see behind Dr. Amanda and Valerie, there's our zone charts back there. These are the reasons that we have these in the office and talk to all of you about it, because whatever idea goes into the brain, again, if it's concentrated on and we repeat it constantly, it is going to express in the body. And all of you that have been patients of ours, you already know that because we talk about it all the time. Every mental delineation or idea is going to strive for outward structural expression. So it's very important that we direct our minds and are pretty intensely thinking about constructive ideas, healthy ideas, and happy ideas. We just saw the 3 little girls you may have seen on the news with their little signs that said, smile, everybody remember, we'll get through this. And those kinds of ideas, when the people were driving by and seeing them, you could just see these huge smiles, and people were driving by more than once to see the little girls again, because in their beautiful innocence, they knew that the truth is both sides of everything. So let's focus on happiness, smiling, having hope, and working that, because it will literally improve your immune system to be more faithful, to have more hope than worry, to work with patients right now, which is huge when we're changing our life so much. Love also. So we've got to balance the positives and the negatives, but really give the positives just more attention as we go through this situation. So I'm going to pause a minute and see if anybody else wants to add anything. Dr. Amanda, Valerie?
I think I'm unmuted.
You got muted.
All right, so turn your sound down, and then I'll talk. So we kind of want to address some misconceptions that people may have, or it's going on in the news or in conversations with your peers or on social media. In that this disease maybe is more, not to diminish it, to say that it's not serious, but what are your chances of getting it, and how serious will it be for you if you do get it, and what are the symptoms, and how can you tell the difference between seasonal allergies? If we all look outside, we can see everything's covered in pollen, versus are you having symptoms of corona? So that's, if you haven't gotten informed, and where are you getting your information? So there are sources like the World Health Organization or the CDC that you can go and look at and check to verify, hey, if I don't have a fever, but yes, I may be having headaches, then it may be corona versus seasonal allergies or something. So to verify your information, to check. So we went through yesterday with the World Health Organization website and kind of did a side-by-side comparison. So the 3 main things for corona is a dry cough, fever, and fatigue. If you have a stuffy nose, if you have any stomach upset or anything like that, then that's leaning away from Corona and more towards something else. There are a lot of people who are going to social media and publishing a bunch of crazy stuff in fear mongering, you know, and the news. Where are you getting your information? The newscasters are not health professionals. They are attention getters. And where are they getting their information? So they do have sources that they will publish about too. But to bear,
Yeah.
what did she say?
Yeah, they don't know epidemiology. Yeah.
Well, and are you taking steps to protect yourself and getting enough sleep and having a healthy diet, and to touch on what Dr. Cathy said about repetition is that how do we learn anything? We study, and to study means that we address it, we read it, we go to it, we hear it, we repeat it, and we concentrate on it, and we repeat it, and we concentrate on it. So every single time you talk to anybody, if I've talked to, everywhere I go, this is what we're talking about. So we're re-impressing this idea of lack, of disease, of fear, of everything else. And so to go in and put in the good information and spend more time studying it, of what it does mean to be healthy, how to study it, to learn about your health and your body and what is good function versus repeating going to the news and then reading about it, and then going and have a conversation and then reading about it, and then watching the news again and then reading about it, of all the disease, and then we go next door and then they're talking about it, and we go to everywhere. So it's all compiling and accentuating this negativity, which we can feel and start to raise our anxiety levels, which then lowers our immune system, and then we start to stress out, and then we have my nose itches and I touch my face and I'm like, oh no, I have Corona. And so good health habits, because I've touched my face a few times, so I'm going to wipe it off because I just did that. But what are we studying? Are we studying the way that our body can work healthy, or are we concentrating on all the bad things that can happen? So to retrain your brain, and since everywhere you're going, I'm going at least, is running into this negativity, this broadcast hopefully will be a source to help you stop it and redirect the momentum into a healthy, positive way. Concentration and study to concentrate and reinforce the idea that you want to have in your brain versus the other direction. Because if you're not controlling it, somebody else already is. So
I even came in the one day, I was doing pretty good. I was very peaceful about the whole thing. I was staying positive, but I think just from your family members and getting it from the news, and it's constantly on social media, it started to get in my head a little bit. And I came in to Dr. Cathy and Dr. G, and they just could tell that I was spiraling a little bit. So we took a moment and we opened our Rays of Dawn book, and which I'll grab in a second, but we opened that up. We just went over the courage chapter and what that really meant to have that courage within you and use that instead of going straight to maybe fear or anger or anything negative versus positive related. So we did a whole meditation. We read through the chapter, and I felt so good. I felt way more calm than I was earlier that day. And then immediately walked into a Kroger, not thinking anything of it, maybe 10 minutes later. And you can just feel it. It's almost when you are removed from the craziness for a second, and then you walk into a Kroger or Publix or whatever's around you, you can feel it as these lines are stacking up, as everyone's grabbing things and the panic, and you could almost feel that just drain you.
Yeah, the vibration is palpable.
Yeah, and it knocks you out, and I just had to leave. I didn't even get what I needed. So yeah, it's almost just taking a second to breathe and really think about that positive side that you can actively choose in yourself. It's gonna boost your immune system no matter what, just to be positive and to think positively. Take those deep breaths, take care of yourself, and then you won't have to really indulge in the fear or feel the fear that can come your way.
It just takes a few seconds to reset it. The momentum will start to go in one direction, and it just takes active concentration to say, hey, hold on, I'm going to grab this, bring it back, and breathe it in, and squash the anxiety because you have brain cells that recognizes the anxiety, that recognizes the fear, and it will start to, like, crowds can build certain things, panic and things, and so you just have to be mindful of it.
And spread that.
Yes,
Talk to people
spread
about
that part.
Be
Yes,
kind to people and help people find their peace and courage and all of the positivity.
Yeah, so I just want to chime in here. What Dr. Goodwin and Valerie are really bringing forth is that vibration. Everything in life vibrates. So there is a sea of energy to every thought, every emotion, every disease concept, and every health concept. So what we're saying is you can increase that frequency. You can turn it up, right? Increase the amplitude by understanding that everything does have a vibratory level. What do you want to be in resonance with? Do you want to be in resonance with health and ideas of health, and recognizing that in the moment you're doing fine? And even if you are having symptoms or have been diagnosed as positive through a test, you still want to vibrate a higher idea that your body is a healing machine. It's designed to reproduce cells. And yes, people will have symptoms, but 80% of the people who are testing positive and have had this coronavirus or COVID-19 have overcome it and are doing fine. Now they have natural immunity. And this is how all diseases through the ages have occurred, where humans did overcome. This disease is called a zoonotic disease, meaning it's transferred from animal to human. And they are much more rare, but it does occur. And there are other diseases that have come this route as well. So as a person, as a community, as a nation, the more awareness that people have to understand how their mind affects the body. And today, everybody knows the mind does affect the body. So if we are upset, down, conflicted, stressed out, it is going to weaken the body versus strengthening it. So it's not to say that things don't happen that we have to deal with, and there are a lot of negative energies in the world, and a lot of negative ideas and diseases. But we don't have to buy into it as so fearful. And so this is what we're talking about. This vibration of disease gets started, and it's very much powered by fear and worry and anger and frustration, hatred, all these negative emotions that everybody has. And those emotions are put in us so we can make sense of the world, but we don't have to default to just this negative side, this fear and worry. And so if we can do that on the negative, then we can do it on the positive. Right? So choosing the ideas that you allow yourself to be exposed to. This is called suggestion. And everything in life is going to have suggestion. So in our work, we are taught that very deeply. Life is, suggestion is not all of life, but all of life is suggestion. And we're being suggested to constantly through the radio, the news, the TV, and nature, right? If you look outside, nature is not freaking out and shrinking, right? It's doing its thing. We have that ability too. And so the vibration of illness, intense thinking about disease and fear will create those emotions, which at some point can actually start manifesting symptoms. Even if it's not the COVID-19 virus, it can be all the symptoms that someone's up with, because now they're identified with this negative idea and they're concentrating on that. So we want people to understand that the law of vibration works two ways. It's called the law of attraction. What do you want to attract? And repulsion. You want to repel.
because the fear of it can be more detrimental and more harmful than the actual disease of it. Even if you get COVID, the fear of not wanting it and the fear of what will happen if you do get it can be more harmful, and you can manifest and make yourself much sicker, or to diminish your health than even if you got the disease, because the fear of it and the concentration of it starts fight or flight. Fight or flight then diminishes your ability to do your immune system. So your whole entire system is going to not fight anything else off any better than it would before. It is dangerous. The vibration is so low that you are susceptible to other people's ideas and to things that wouldn't have gotten you in the first place. So
very true, because all these things will create either harmony inside you or a concussion of forces, which we typically call stress, right? And that concussion of forces causes conflict. It interferes with how normal cells would operate now, because the conscious mind can literally change how the body is designed to work. So we want to use our conscious minds in a very constructive way. And, you know, this is when you make sense of the recommendations. You want to inform yourself with appropriate information, but you don't want to sit and watch that television all day long listening to very, very serious and sometimes inaccurate information. I have heard much inaccurate information over the television because I did study epidemiology, as Dr. Goodwin did. So we know the study of disease and viruses and bacteria and the different kinds of organic illness that can occur. But we also know that within you is the essence of life that knows how to work with itself if we don't interfere with it too much. So it's important that we really get a hold of that. And so all of you that are patients of mine and Dr. Goodwin have that Raise the Dawn book, this is when you want to really start pulling that baby out and reading it. Read it with your loved ones, read it on chat, you know, any way you can communicate that vibration, because when you read the chapter on courage, faith, love, hope, it lifts you, right? And it stimulates something inside you that we know is what we call the innate intelligence of the body as chiropractors. It stimulates that side and it empowers you. So we can't speak of that enough. But you all have one. So this is when you want to read a chapter or two, or at least a paragraph a day, and get your mindset vibrating along those constructive lines as much as possible. So now I want to kind of shift us over to chiropractic. So zone technique, you know, is the cornerstone of our office. We offer many other services. We have massage, we have reflexology with Valerie. We do, of course, our zone technique all the time. And we have some other practitioners now. We have Lauren Strader, who is the body shaman, who works with people who need help with understanding how to exercise, correcting posture. She's also fantastic. She has shaman training as well. So we all treat the whole person. I don't want to leave out Jessica Calderon, who does human design and is a Reiki master, does Reiki here. Lauren also does Reiki. So all these are modalities that can help raise your vibration and get you centered back into who and what you really are. You are not a victim or have to be a victim and a slave to a cringing nervous system, right? We can balance those nervous systems, balance our brains, get into constructive thinking or reasoning, we call it. The truth is, reasoning is at a loss or at a lack somewhat in the world. Everybody thinks, but just because we think, it's not exactly reasoning, and we can think whatever we want, but it doesn't make it true. So it's important to really question, what do you believe and why do you believe it? Is it true? Is it true for you? And it's, you know, it's always, we're always evolving. So you want to bring in new ideas and challenge yourself a little bit and expand your consciousness with constructive ideas like the Rays of the Dawn, and also understanding that the human mind, body, soul is a whole person, and it's connected to a greater power that runs the universe, right? And so in that idea, we can really focus on health and all the positives as well as balance the negatives, because it makes us truly a warrior for our own lives, our own purpose, and trying to understand how those bodies work. A lot of people don't even know their own anatomy or physiology, but yet they get inundated with these suggestions, and you can see how fear would spread and just take hold. But I want to mention this. There was a research study by Ronald Pirro, PhD, Chief of Cancer Research at the New York's Preventive Medicine Institute. And his study reveals that neurologically based chiropractic, which is what we do, zone technique, is proven is proven to boost one's immune competency, right? To boost your immune system. And that study showed chiropractic patients have a 200% greater immune competence than persons who do not receive chiropractic care. And in the case of the research he was doing for cancer, they have a 400% greater immune competence than those who had cancer and other diseases. That's a proven fact. So we want you to know that getting your zone technique adjustments is a very constructive, positive thing for you. And, you know, that's one thing you can do. In our office, there's never more than 10 people, usually less at any given time. So we're not over inundated with a lot of people here. We keep it that way with our scheduling so that it protects people. We're taking those recommendations seriously. You know, this is one thing you can do. You can do these things. And so all of our practitioners here are prepared to assist you and help you. And so we want to tell you, you know, to get out of your house and come see us. Or if you have another chiropractor and you're listening in, go see them, right? Because chiropractors are vitalistic practitioners, and they're taught to take this in and really understand it and pass it on to you, right? And so, not to take away from anyone else, but vitalism means your body has everything in it that it needs. If there's something missing, including negative thinking, can be eradicated. But, you know, common sense, get your rest right now. Eat balanced meals. This is not a time to let the stress take you over, because all those things will decrease your immune system. Get some exercise. Even if you're in your own home, you can do videos. You can make up your own routines. You can dance. You can listen to music. You can have some fun. This is a time where we're being forced to slow down, so we might as well make the best of it, right? So it's not easy to educate my little grandson at home on the digital learning. It's a challenge, but hey, we're getting through it. And sometimes what we do is take those great breaks and just have fun and look at it like a vacation, because honestly, it's out of your control. So you might as well make the best of it, right? But back to chiropractic, that is what we do. The foundation of zone healing teaches proper reasoning, and this is a time to really, really utilize it. And the foundation of chiropractic teaches a properly adjusted nervous system, does increase function, and it most definitely affects the nerve system and the immune system, and it increases it 200 to 400%. Who couldn't benefit from that? So anything you want to add, Dr. Goodwin?
Yeah, we can go into all how it goes into how it does that wills in your immune system and affects it. But I don't think you guys want all the nitty gritty of it. But within 15 minutes of getting an adjustment, your brain sends out and gets all the helper cells, the white blood cells and the neutrophils and everything else to do a course through your body to help you fight. But if you are concentrating and vibrating high on the fear, you go into fight or flight, then that diminishes the ability, the direction that your brain can do to go through and fight this off. So we can help, but you got to do it on your own outside of the office as well. What are you concentrating on? Because given all things equal, if you're sitting there and reasoning that this is going to get me, and no matter what I do, that bad things are going to happen, then it's much more likely that it's going to happen. But if you know I'm taking the proper steps, and I've seen the people that take care of me, and I'm taking care of me, even if you aren't confronted with it, then you're much higher likelihood of not having any symptoms or having anything bad happen to you. So what you concentrate on and what you believe will be true or will happen is much more likely to run that course versus the other. So I don't know, that's my contribution at this point. Lost my train of thought.
Okay, so we really do want to take a common sense approach and be discriminatory. So this idea of not being in large groups is not necessarily to limit you, but to slow down this spread of any illness, and also to help the medical offices like us, right, to help us deal with and help people that need the help, and so we don't overwhelm the system, right? So the actual recommendations are only 3 feet, which is 1 meter. But I noticed on the news they're saying 6 feet, and that's good because it gives a buffer. So out in public with people you don't know or what they might have been exposed to, it just makes sense to use this common sense approach. Keep your distance, wash your hands, sneeze into a tissue or your elbow, like teach the kids. I even saw somebody sneeze into their own t-shirt. I mean, do what you have to do because it is driven through water droplets from coughing. And again, I think Dr. Goodwin went over that. But the number one symptom that you want to be aware of is temperature. If somebody spikes a fever or a temperature, in order for a virus to have gone through its incubation period, which is about 2 weeks, 14 days, for almost all viruses, but certainly for COVID-19, it's considered to be about 14 days. That incubation period is, you can have it without knowing it, and then some of those symptoms are generally dry cough, sometimes headache. Those are milder symptoms. It's not going to be a wet cough like with allergies. Allergies are going to typically have a lot of drainage. They're going to be more wet. And you don't usually spike a fever with allergies, though you could, but it's not typical. So looking at those kinds of things and, recognizing how to use fear, let it motivate you to do common sense, wise things, but don't be so afraid that you can't go on with some form of quality of your life, definitely. So accurate information, common sense approach. If we all hook together and do these things, like you said, 80% of the people that have actually contracted it are overcoming it, have a natural immunity forever, and the symptoms are quite mild. And so I didn't know about this, but there's a lady, I think she's 103 in Italy. Is that right?
Yeah, even the 20% people who don't have a mild case, who have a severe case, you have to get more treatment, but it doesn't mean that it's necessarily fatal. And even of the people who have a severe case, this 103-year-old lady in Italy did have a much more severe case, but she also survived it. So the idea that even if you have a severe case that it's fatal is not true. Of the 20%, less than 2% people have the fatal part of it. So the reason for all of the sequestering and the quarantine and is, like Dr. Cathy said, is to make sure that the system that's in place to help treat people and people who don't have COVID, because the hospitals are in place for people with kidney disease and car accidents and everything else, so that if they're over inundated with people who have corona or think that they have corona or are going to get tested because they feel a little crappy, then the system is not there to provide for anybody else. So to lengthen or the curve or to squash the curve, the bell curve, is for the medical system in this in place, and not because of the severity of the disease. Not to diminish anybody who's sick or who has suffered or who may unfortunately pass from this, but severe cases doesn't automatically mean that death and doom is coming your way. So there are success stories of people who are getting it severely and recovering, even outside of the curve of what we think might be. Like if the elderly is supposed to be the most susceptible, but the elderly are also recovering. So,
and look at those stories and spread those stories, because I feel like we're not talking about that. We're talking about everything that can go wrong. But if you spread that all these great things are happening, then people will maybe vibrate on that instead of all the negativity.
That's so true, and it lifts people's spirits. So, and I want to say something, because I am considered elderly in my age group. Some of you may be laughing about that because I certainly don't act it, but elderly people have a diverse sense of knowledge and experience, and they've lived quite a while, so they have so much to offer. And a lot of times when I hear things on the news or people talk to a group of people that are older, it's almost like they get thrown into this one group of, poor, decrepit, sad, where people feel sorry for them and they patronize us. And hey, we've got a lot going on and we've got a lot to offer. And the vibration of health, when you see it in a person that's considered older, let's say older than 50 or 60, or whatever it is, 70s. It's just amazing how those of us that are out there in the world and are kicking it up and still going and doing things influence our youth. And we mentor that the older populations have so much value that they're underestimated a great deal. And so I would just say, if you're going to call your parents or your grandparents and you're checking on them, give them the respect of being a really vital adult that you love and care for, and not like I'm checking on you because you're worried about them, because that starts a vibration of worry for them. Lift them up and treat us just like anybody else, because that's who we are. And we can all really benefit and help each other by having that kind of respect. People that are older 50 have got a lot of value and a lot to offer, so we don't want to be treated like we're not needed anymore, or just in this little eggshell that everybody has to be fragile. I am not fragile, but I'm definitely over 60, and I'm proud to say so. So I never even think of myself as a senior citizen, even though I am, because of learning what we're telling you today and directing my mind. I choose not to focus on a downside of anything, though I accept what is going on. But I have found that by working with myself in this way, it has changed my trajectory of how I might be, look, or act at any given age. So I feel just as young as I did when I was waking up in my little house at Amundsen Road in Jacksonville, Florida, every morning. Doesn't change.
Well, I do want to touch on that, is the difference between your mentality and some other people, and how that affects your health and in your mentality. But there's a difference between you guys controlling the conversation when you talk to people, like she just said, but the medical route versus chiropractic route. In the 1918, when there was a big flu epidemic, there were people who went to see chiropractors versus the medical profession. And the people who went to see the doctors, 1 in 6 of those people passed away. But of the patients who went to go see chiropractors, 1 in 789 people passed away. And I think the main difference is one is the study of the things that can go wrong and the diseases. And the other is the study of vitalism and wellness and how things can go well. That if we do this, then things will happen. Good things will happen. That we are encouraging your body to do its own thing instead of focusing on how it's not going to do its own thing in a successful way. I think the difference was the mindset of the practitioners. So you, as a mindset, how are you going to live? You can help influence your people around you and control the conversation that they, like my sister yesterday called me and told me that I needed to get out of Atlanta and get to a rural place because, hell was coming down. Hellfire and brimstone, guns are blazing, get out. And in a second, I'm like, well, if it goes that way, it'll be bad. I need to be closer to family. If I want to be quarantined, do I want to be closer to family or far away? But I just started to build my anxiety. I was like, why am I letting this happen? She's cuckoo bananas sometimes. So I had to remind myself, hey, listen, this is not going to go to hellfire and brimstone. There's a lot of misinformation. Check my facts, because she spouted off something. I went to fact check her. It wasn't there. So I had to control the conversation between me and my family for my benefit, So when you go everywhere, everywhere I've gone, people are talking about it. Steer the conversation to a place that's not studying what you don't want to have happen. It does not build your own anxiety and things like that, that surround yourself with like-minded people and control the conversation in a healthy way that will get you what you want, as opposed to letting these anxieties and fears raise and stuff like that. So
Scott, I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry, Val. I just saw that Lauren Strader looked like she had a question, but I can't see it. Is there a question?
Yeah, no question. She was actually giving you some great emojis, laughy emojis and heart emojis, because that really was funny, Dr. Amanda.
Crazy Geek family. Okay, I'm glad my sister's not watching this, by the way. So
maybe she is.
Oh no, I didn't send her the link. She didn't know.
All right, I think I interrupted Val. Did you want to add something? And I don't know how much time we have, so Scott, you can let us know.
Yeah, you're doing great. We're 20 minutes away from the top of the hour.
Okay, great.
I just wanted to say a quick thing. With reflexology, it's very similar in how we're working with the body. We're basically helping the body through the feet, is what I specifically work on. Just get out of its own way, let everything good come in and the energy flow nicely so that the body knows how to fix itself. I work pretty much within the hour and a half time period. I work with all 7 body systems through the feet. And you would be amazed at what you can find and how you can clear those things. And a lot of it ties to a mentality or what's going on emotionally as well as physically. So during a session, we work through all of that. And even what you just feel after those sessions, after chiropractic, it's pretty much, it's an immediate feeling, but it also lasts for a long time. And when you build up with all those practices, your body just thanks you and you get it out of its way and it can help itself. And I think it's beautiful to add those things in a time like this. As much as positive thoughts, and maybe watch something funny. Even if you're at home watching movies, choose funny movies.
Totally.
Choose friends that you can talk to on the phone that make you laugh. Choose different ways that you can really raise your vibration through smiling, through reading news stories that are positive, whatever it takes.
You were talking about the lack of pollution, or
there's great silver linings out there that you can look up. I just saw in the Venice Canal, it's actually clearing. Now there's dolphins and all this wildlife that hasn't been there in years because of how much we go through those systems. And so it's beautiful to see all this nature recreating itself. And so maybe this is our time to recreate ourselves in quarantine or wherever you are. Take time to really take care of yourself and discover maybe new things about you, different passions you have or hobbies or interests. Maybe this is the time to really radiate on that and not be radiating on what can go wrong. Yeah, like it's not worth putting that in your brain.
Absolutely. So you guys all know I'm kind of a clown, and I love you guys all know I'm kind of a clown, and I love to be in the spotlight. So it's time for my joke. So you got to use your imagination here and go with me. So God, who runs the universe, right, and the plague, who is the designer of plagues and diseases, we're having a conversation. And they said, hello, how you doing? How's this going? And, at the end, God says, well, what are you going to do now? And so the plague says, well, I'm going to go over into this area of the world and I'm going to kill about 3 million people. And God said, well, that's what you do, plague. You kill people. So go, that's your job. So about 6 months later, they got back together and they were talking and God says, plague, you lied to me. He said, I lied to you? He said, yeah, you said you were only going to kill about 3 million people, but 10 million were killed. You lied to me. And the plague says, no, God, no, I didn't lie. I killed 3 million, like I said. Fear killed the other 7 million. So it's a silly kind of little joke, but you get the idea. That vibration that we can get into, and we have choice. We can choose what vibration that we want to invoke into our literal minds, bodies, and souls. That's our power, the power of choice, right? And so we don't have to let other suggestions overwhelm what we think. What we think is more important than what anybody else thinks at any given time about ourselves, our health, our environment, and how we're going to adapt to it. And adaptation comes from the vegetable world, the world of plants. If they can grow out of the side of a rock and adapt over all these millions of years, do you think it's possible that the human being doesn't have that same adaptive power that we can utilize? And I'm not a plant, so I'm not going to sprout roots per se, but I can certainly use that ability within myself to adapt to difficult situations and then therefore give myself an opportunity to do the best I can. And you can do that too. So as we're getting closer to the top of the hour, I know we have a few more minutes, but I'm going to send out a challenge today for all of us, for Dr. Goodwin, Valerie, myself, we're going to do it. And I want all of you that are listening, whenever a negative thought comes into your mind over the next few weeks, and I'm hoping in a few weeks this is all going to start slowly heading in the other direction because of that incubation period, it should within a couple of weeks have a shift, certainly within a week after that. But I want you to catch yourself. Think about what you're thinking about. Think about what you're thinking about. And then choose to do what we're saying. Get a phrase in your mind. Sing a song. Choose to change a negative thought to a constructive one. So we don't want you to be just positive, like a chipper believer in a happiness cult kind of thing. We want you to be constructive. Use the negative, But once you've identified whatever that negative can help you with, if it can help you, then choose to go to a higher consciousness, go to the opposite. So if fear is hitting you hard about anything or anyone during this time, work with going to faith, which is actually another word for confidence, right? Work with that within yourself, and you'll see how you feel differently. So smile, laugh. I'm challenging everybody to choose to do one thing positive at least every day. Catch those thoughts and work on changing your consciousness. And you will find that it's true. You must test information to know if it works for you. So we're asking you to do so. All right, ladies.
To shift your momentum, to shift the thought momentum. Karen was, oh,
I think
Somebody's got a question, I
I'm looking
believe.
for it. I recently was sick and got my mind thinking that I had the virus. Dr. Amanda, I changed my mind into positive rethinking, redirecting, whatever I had to, pushing it out of my body. Today I feel better, and I did before I got sick. Thanks, Dr. Amanda. Who was that one? She's a Galaxy 10 user. So
I just got one from Maggie Mosier, right?
that's Maggie. Yes, awesome.
Yeah, that's Maggie. So she is listening, and she's saying, thank you so much. I'm so much better since I was in to see Dr. Amanda just the other day. This will be great for others out there. So thanks, Mags, and we hope you're coming back soon because we love you and all of our patients. I think we've got a few other people that are making some comments.
Stinking thinking will really get in your way. It can cause more damage than anything, you know. So there's a lot of, you know, we have the power to control what we think, and the momentum it will be strong, and you'll be caught up in it, and already like this avalanche already flowing. And the only way that you can change it is a pattern, is to redirect it, is to already have in place the counter to that. So if you're in the midst of this thought momentum, stinking thinking of not getting you what you want, trying to get out of it without something already in place to change the pattern is difficult. So when we're now talking right now, go and prepare something. Like Valerie's going to read a little excerpt that will help you retrain your brain. Have it already in your pocket. Put it on your phone. Have a paper. Well, the ones that I struggle with the most, or the ones that I have the hardest time remembering, are the ones that I need to work on the most. So I have it on my phone so that I can remind myself frequently that when I catch it, you can't stop the thoughts that come to your brain, but you can catch it and redirect it. And so have the counter already in place so that you can put it in. And if you have to do it in 5 seconds later or 15 minutes later, do it again, do it again, do it again, until the pattern shifts and becomes the new way. You don't have to think about the new way. It just is the way. So
I wanted to jump in. Karen Odorico just came on. Thanks, Karen. She says, I love the word vitalism. That's a great one. The idea that you are an essence of life that animates your body and your mind. You're not just a body, you're not just a mind, you're this essence of life that animates both. And that is what we call soul, right? We are all energy souls living in physical bodies with these great electronic minds, right? And so we're so much more capable, and we're really truly nothing but potential and possibility. What are your potentials? What are your possibilities? Activate that idea of being vital. And this essence of life isn't afraid of anything, including COVID-19. So, we aren't either. We're kind of these warriors that rebel against a lot of conventional thought because we have been taught a consciousness that's so much more expanding and deeper. And we want to invite you to get a hold of that too, because in times like this, it is so important. And speaking of that word vitalism, we are vitalistic. We have what we need. But it's vital that our communities get a hold of knowledge and the proper use of knowledge so that we can surf through these tough times as well as enjoy the wonderful, wonderful benefits of being alive.
So in closing, I think Valerie should read a little bit from the Raise the Dawn, and then we'll let you guys go about your Saturday, I guess, right?
Oh wait, there's a question.
Oh.
From Jennifer Shea. Are there any extra measures going into disinfecting things like the adjustment tables during this time?
Oh, absolutely. We're wiping down everything. In fact, I've got some wipes this morning. I'm going to have the patients, I'm going to leave them at the door so they can help wipe off when they leave. right? So everybody gets to help. So, you know, our entire office is always being, we have essential oils that are 99.99% antimicrobial, antiviral that we're constantly putting in the air. We cleanse the bathrooms, we wipe down the surfaces, we wipe down the adjustment tables, we have patients wash their hands, we're wiping down doorknobs between people. So we are keeping the office sanitized and clean.
And for people who want it, we do have gloves and things like that, so that if we wash our hands between people regular, but if you prefer that we wear gloves, we do have those on hand if you want.
Yep, we have gloves and masks. Happy to wear them.
We look kind of funny, but
well, we've been kind of having fun with that. So we're pretty playful here. So we want you to come join us. It's a good vibration in this office, and we plan to keep it that way. But we also want to inspire you guys to know that you are so capable of getting through these difficult times. And yes, there will be people who are not going to do well, perhaps some people who will be mortality. That is just the way life works. There's a cycle of life and death, and nobody knows when that time would be. But in all honesty, it's not so much the disease process. Anything can take somebody out who's unstable in health, and that includes mental, emotional, and physical. Right? So stability is something that we get by sharing knowledge. Like I said, the proper use of knowledge. So it's not. I'm not being criticizing or cavalier about that, but if you study epidemiology, then not everybody's going to be born and live a full life till they're 80, 90 years old without having any problems. And those of us that are older, everybody gets affected by life, and life can be messy, and we get our hearts broken, and we go through experiences that will either strengthen us so we become victors, or we can become victims, and I've done both. So no criticism, but when you bring all the pieces back together, you can actually have a stronger person, a stronger constitution, a stronger immune system, the ability to continue to love even though your heart's been broken several times. I mean, these things are what help us create a better person, right? A better soul, someone who is really equipped to handle all of life, not just look and focus on one side, right? Because life is all of it. So again, we can't inspire you enough to know that you are nothing but potential and possibility. What do you want that to be? We want you to be healthy. We know you have a divine right to be healthy, happy, successful in living, and to have inner peace. And that's something everybody wants. Everybody wants that. So I'm going to kind of close off. I know we're got to be getting close to the end. So I just want to thank everybody that came in. We're going to be doing more of these because, in case you haven't noticed, our habits in life are changing. So this new paradigm that's coming in because of this virus is going to change how we operate. And actually, we're having a lot of fun doing this. So we want to do it again. We want to have Lauren Strader and Jessica Calderon to come in. So the next time we do it, we'll have all 5 of our practitioners on the panel, hopefully, and more people listening, because the world needs information and needs to share.
more beautiful, like news turns into, I call it a bunch of squawking heads. And so this would be a much better group, a panel of people just to have squawk at you. As opposed to some of those other people, naysayers.
Thing repeated like 10,000 times a day, which again, that repetition of something negative is something you really need to protect yourself from. That's a negative suggestion. So courage is a great destructive power in overcoming the negative and destructive forces even within ourselves when we get into conflict.
Great job. Great job. I just want to chime in the Q&A. Karen Wood said, thank you for providing a new center for us who are trying to manage the course of life. Love you all. And then someone anonymous asked, is the office open today?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
All right. That's where they are. They're in the office today. They're sitting in the office. So the front door's unlocked, right, ladies?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. Caitlin Chestnut says, Michelle, thank you all for doing this. So I'd like to know, somebody use the chat box before we go that maybe hasn't yet. Just type in, what is your big takeaway today? What is like the top 1 or 2 things that you're going to take away from today's training from these ladies? So many insights. I'm a stats guy. Dr. Amanda, I love the stats that you shared. Fantastic on chiropractic and how it boosts the immune system, especially through previous crises that we've already been through as a nation. Very important to understand. The positivity and holding that mindset as a discipline is also a big deal. That's my personal takeaway. I love the stats too, Karen says. Come on, somebody use the chat box. Pop it in. Let us know. What is like your biggest number 1 takeaway today that you're going to take through the rest of your day and through the rest of this COVID-19 lockdown? Anybody? We have some reticent people. We have several that are actually on the cell phone, so they're a little more limited on what they can do. I think.
I'm getting some here.
Are you? Okay. Okay, good.
Lauren
good.
Strader said, go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, Lauren Strader says, I'm taking away that I need to have fun and smile like an innocent child. Absolutely. This is a time of potential and possibility.
Yay.
Yes, to raise our vibration, Caitlin. So the last one was Maria, I think I'm saying that, Maria White, and then Caitlin Chestnut, to raise our vibration. Yes. Good. Any more? This has been fantastic. Thank you, ladies, for sharing. This was recorded and it will be reposted on the Facebook page. Rachel says to not let fear take over your thoughts and vibrations to get an adjustment. Yes. Work on the inside and let them work on your outside. Definitely. Yes, this will.
Yeah. We will help you. And I also like that you guys are fellow nerds and like stats and things. I'm totally a nerd. I'll look it up and get the figures and facts and things. So
he's our office nerd.
That's great. That's great. So for you that came in late, there will be a replay on the Absolute Health Chiropractic Facebook page. You'll be able to see it from beginning to end. So I think most of you were here though when we got started, and most of you stayed to the end. So thank you for that. And we thank you, kind ladies, for offering all that you just did. What a great boost. This was an oasis of hope for most of us, I believe, for right now in a very difficult time, full of bad news. Every time you look at social media or turn on the news, it's all negative. This was an hour of positivity, and I think it's definitely making an impact. So we thank you for that. All right.
Well, hopefully you guys can go and share an hour of positivity with your people and trickle down that way. You know, the bad has a way of spreading. Let's spread the good.
Yeah. Karen Woods, let's get her comment in here. We control our environment, leaving the area that doesn't support you. We control our environment. So the takeaway is leaving those areas that don't support you. That's very, very good and very wise. Someone on the Galaxy S10 says, redirecting when I have a negative thought to replace with a new one. Very good. Yeah. Great takeaways. Great recap.
Awesome, guys.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. We're going to end the recording now, and we'll see you out there on the internet. Thank you, ladies.